It's Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for September 2022. So on Saturday, September 10th, we have our full moon taking place in Pisces at 17 degrees. Now, this is going to be taking place at 5:59 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you haven't downloaded your moon guide, I'm going to recommend you go ahead and do that. So let's break it down. First of all, a full moon, any full moon, is all about endings, all about releasing, all about purging. We have to close a chapter in order for a brand new one to begin. In Pisces, being the last sign of the zodiac, we are definitely wrapping things up. We are setting ourselves up for a bitter ending, a karmic cleansing, a total emotional and spiritual release as we prepare to dive into brand new karmic contracts, brand new soul contracts, brand new life lessons. So Pisces energy is a water sign, which means that it's highly emotional, super intuitive, and very, very cleansing, very transformative. Water energy is the only element that can morph into different states of being. Of course, fluid, solid, and gas. That is how we go through the healing process. We feel the feels, we add some, I'm going to say, thought to it, gives us that gassy element, and then hopefully we can bring it back down to earth, turn it into a solid, and actually do something with it. We have to make it into a tangible life force energy before we can use it to fuel us moving forward. So the moon is in Pisces, which means that the sun is in Virgo. This is what gives us our full moon, is when the sun and the moon are in opposite ends of the zodiac wheel. We are on the Pisces and Virgo axis, which is the healing axis. It is the service and health axis. This is an attempt in order for us to recognize where it is that things are broken and where it is that we have to return to a state of wholeness. Of course, the sun in Virgo is going to shine a very bright light on our physical bodies, our physical circumstances, and what isn't working in order for us to come up with a solution in order to fix it. Again, all in attempt to return us back to a state of health and wellness, a state of wholeness. While the Piscean energy is tapping in and showing us where emotionally, where karmically, where spiritually, we have some healing to do. We have some broken aspects within us, and where, of course, we have to feel in order to heal. Now, here's the thing. As many of you know, if you've been with me for any length of time, I'm not so fond of the New Age and spiritual community for a lot of the reasons, but one reason being that they like to hype up things. They like to add a lot of fluff, keep things all love and light, and that is just not what we are here to do. We are here to have a human experience, and it is only through the pain and suffering that we actually get pushed into our place of power, into alignment with our soul's highest expression. So there are a lot of people out there talking about how magical this particular full moon in Pisces is going to be, how creative, how dreamy it is. And although those are some positive aspects to the Piscean energy, I hate to break it to you, my friends, but I feel like this particular moon event is going to be an absolute doozy. We have to understand that the shadow element of Piscean energy is the unconscious self, repressed emotions, repressed memories, the pain and the trauma that we compartmentalize somewheres within us so that we can survive and actually move on. The Piscean energy is about endings and closure. And I don't know about you, but I have never met a bittersweet ending that didn't leave a very sour taste in my mouth and a little bit of hurt on my heart space. Yes, we have to move on. Yes, there are things ending. Yes, there can be a beauty and an excitement where new things are beginning. But I truly feel that many of us, especially activated light workers who are very in touch with having to alchemize the pain and the trauma of the unconscious collective, will be feeling this particular full moon in Pisces in all of its depths and all of its pain, it's all of its trauma and all of its suffering in order to release release that energy, surrender that energy to the universe, cleansing us of karmic and soul contracts that are now coming to an end to prepare us to move forward. Now, many of us out in the world in circumstances right now where there is a lot of loss, a lot of pain, a lot of grief, that definitely needs to be acknowledged and integrated. We have to try to do what we can to make peace with the circumstances that don't make sense. We have the Virgo energy trying to think our way through, trying to compartmentalize and logically and practically add a intellectual perspective on why certain things happen, why we have to deal with certain things, trying to make sense of everything from an egoic and intellectual perspective. But this is the Pisces moon. This is about emotions. This is about feeling. This is about the depth that we are able to touch in the emotional field as human beings. And therefore, you cannot make sense of feelings. You cannot make sense of circumstances, especially where pain and trauma is concerned. This is going to rip off all of the Band-Aids to the wounds that we've been trying to heal in order to acknowledge that, guess what? Part of being human is a very painful experience. But taking that life lesson, taking that energy, alchemizing it into a source of power, turning that pain into power, turning that darkness into light is the light worker's job. It is our job to alchemize the darkness and turn it into light and release our, I'm going to say, very heavy, very intense emotions to the universe for cleansing. This is how we lighten the vibration and frequency of our own inner being. This is how we lighten the load of the collective. It is not an easy job. It is not fun. But guess what? We signed up our soul contracts, our soul missions to be on this earth, to be a light worker, to be activated in order to take part in turning this very heavy, weighted 3D materialized earth into the new earth that we are all very anxiously and eagerly awaiting. So I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer. However, I just do not feel that this is going to be a light and fluffy energy for us to navigate through. We have to take care of our physical bodies. We have to take care of our spiritual selves. We have to rely on our intuition just as much as we are used to relying on our intellect. It is time for us to navigate this next chapter, this next ending, this next closure, this new beginning that we're about to move into from our heart space, not from our head space. This is likely going to shine a bright light on some topics and themes that began back in February of this year. This is likely going to show us where it is that we've been successful or unsuccessful in bringing new dreams, new creative ideas to life. This is a cleansing period. Mercury just went retrograde, adding to the, I'm going to say, confusion to it all, the reflection of it all, the revision, the recalibration, the realignment of what this particular full moon event is going to be. Now, let's just state that we can count on chaos. Now, Virgo energy wants to create order out of said chaos. However, we have to throw ourselves in the middle of the ocean of these Piscean waters in order for this Virgo energy to tap in and show us how we can swim to safety. This particular energy may knock us down a couple of pegs, may overwhelm us to the point where we just want to check out of reality altogether. This is Piscean energy that tends to be the escape artist of the zodiac when we are overwhelmed and when we are picking up on things that we don't know whether they belong to us or belong to other people. Tapping into the unconscious collective is always a very intense experience. But again, we are shifting out of an old karmic cycle and into another. Now, we have a lot of aspects taking place under this full moon in Pisces. If you downloaded your moon guide, you will see that there are some very positive ones, but there are also some very negative ones. May I remind you that negative aspects aren't meant to harm us. It's meant to illuminate the uncomfortability, the insecurity, the doubts, the fears, all of those shadow aspects going on within us so that we become illuminated to what needs to be fixed, what needs to be healed, and where we need to be returned to a state of wholeness. Uranus is a very key player under this particular full moon with both positive and negative aspects. Uranus being the great awakener, shocking us, awing us, throwing unexpected events at us to shake us up, to realign us with our soul's mission, with our soul's purpose. We can expect to feel that jolt of energy through our physical bodies as it does really connect to the central nervous system. We will be having some very profound aha moments, some sudden release of emotion, some shifting in our perspectives and understandings, and some very spontaneous amounts of healing. This is a release, and it has to feel as heavy as it needs to be in order for us to appreciate when that weight is lifted. So we got a lot going on under this particular moon energy. This is another Earth dominant event in the elemental energy profile, which means that our physical realms are being rocked, are being shook up, are being illuminated on what needs to end in order for us to jump into brand new beginnings. This is a pivotal point, I will say, because we are in harvest season. This is the full moon closest to the equinox, which means that we have to wrap things up before a new season begins under the fall equinox energies on the 22nd of September. Again, please listen to September's energy forecast if you haven't already. Download your zodiac forecast for the month so that you know exactly what kind of energy we are dealing with here and what kind of cycles are ending and what kind of cycles are waiting to begin. I want you to pay attention to your dream state. I want you to pay attention to your relationships. There is an element, because Mercury is retrograde in Libra, where this is going to rock some relationships. Some relationships are falling apart. Some relationships are going to be healed. Venus just moved into Virgo, which means that there's a huge, huge level of physical and heart healing energies coming at us. Venus in Virgo is the body, Mercury in Libra is the mind, and the full moon in Pisces is the soul and is the spirit. We are in an end of days when we consider the karmic lessons that we are ending and the new chapters that we are patiently awaiting. Does it feel good? No. Should it feel good? No. We don't learn as human beings when we are in our comfort zones. We only recognize the power and the strength within us when we are being put in positions where we do not have a choice to rise above, to muster up the courage and the bravery needed in order to push through. So I invite you to look inward. I invite you to feel all the feels. I invite you to journal. I invite you to really take a time out and sit with yourself. Figure out what it is that you're running from. Figure out where it is that you have repressed memories and emotions that are just underneath the surface that are blocking you and preventing you from actually being in alignment with your true soul self. This is a time for us to throw ourselves all the way in to a spiritual practice. This is Piscean energy. We do have to balance the time, the attention, the love that we pour into our physical lives, into our inner realms as well. There is a huge healing energy coming, but may I remind you that the healing process is not all light and love and butterflies. It is very messy. It is very heavy. It comes with a lot of complex and complicated ideas and emotions that are going to be very hard to identify in this Piscean energy and with Mercury now retrograde. So my advice is breathe. My advice is feel. My advice is to stay in the present moment, no matter how hard and uncomfortable it may be, because you are going to save yourself a lot of energy in integrating and processing the uncomfortability of the here and now in the here and now, instead of pushing it aside, disassociating from life, and having it creep up on you later. So I wish you the most beautiful healing process, the most beautiful full moon in Pisces that we could possibly have. And of course, make space for the new elements, the new dreams, the new contracts to actually have a place to root in. I'm sending you nothing but love, and we'll talk to you soon.